following is a presentation of the High Spot Podcast. Making their way to the ring, talking about the world of professional wrestling, the team of Jeff Martin and the trendsetter Brian Perga, the Jersey Wrecking Crew.
That's right, you're listening to the High Spot Podcast. I am Jeff Martin alongside my tag team partner, the Trendsetter.
Damn right.
This was on the G-Pops Podcast Network, as well as the Shining Wizards Network and B Plus Player Radio Network.
Just Google us, guys.
Just Google us. Just Google the damn show. You follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Again, Trendsetter. Amazing weekend of wrestling that we got to talk about and discuss. We got Bill Apter on the show momentarily. And, of course, we're going to preview WWE Super Showdown in Melbourne, Australia. Trendsetter. It is October. Can you believe what's going on?
I can believe it's October, Jeff. But you and I were just recently watching the newest edition of Being the Elite. I'm going to sidebar here for a second, guys, because after watching it, even the Young Bucks and Cody, Jeff, are still dealing. Four weeks away, Jeff, from Chicago. And they're still dealing with All-In
Blues.
Hangover. The Blues.
There you go. They call it All-In Blues. We were calling it Hangover. And, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it the last 4 weeks, actually, about just how great that event was. And then watching Being the Elite and, you know, seeing them, they were still kind of on a high. And then, 4 weeks of not coming in contact or,
and all the build-up and the excitement going around the wrestling world, or the buzz, is the fact that it's taboo to talk about it, but Cody and the Young Bucks have been very open and spoken about the fact that their contracts are up. What are they going to do? And so they're leaving us in suspense. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they know what they're going to do. Not that we know what they're going to do. And they're just leaving us in suspense, so it's exciting. But to answer your question, yes, Jeff, I can't believe it's October. The year has, believe it or not, gone by so fast, and summer, which never really happened here in the metropolitan area, guys.
Oh, man,
it never
the
happened.
Rain, dude, has been just so
the rain.
funny, dude.
So now,
awful.
Yeah, it hits that feeling for Jeff and I, and knowing that we're going to be extremely busy, especially this fall into winter into next year as we prepare. Before you know it, we'll be talking about WrestleMania season. Crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that actually towards the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
A rumored place where WrestleMania is going to be after this one in New York City, man. But Trent, there's so much wrestling going on.
Excited about our guests too.
Again, yeah, Bill Apter from the Apter Chat Wrestling Podcast will join us. Got a chance to talk to him a while ago, not too long ago, but we saw him at Modern Vintage Wrestling in Flemington, New Jersey. Was a real thrill to meet him, man. All the knowledge that he has, and quite a historian. He's talked to everybody, to the Hogans, to the Andres,
and he's friends with a lot of these guys too. Yeah,
yeah, man. So this guy definitely is someone that we've really wanted to talk to, and a chance to do it in person is great. So Bill Apter will join us on the show in just a few minutes. But like we were talking about before, to start the show, man, wrestling to me was back. Last week we talked to Chase Owens, and we were talking about Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, and then also New Japan Fighting Spirit and Unleashed. But what a weekend it was. Ring of Honor continues its momentum with a great show, of course, with the Bullet Club and Jay Lethal having a great matchup with Will Ospreay. Which
there's no doubt that was going to happen.
Yeah, no, and the talk, as far as that I was talking about last week, was that wrestling is back. And I know we got to talk about WWE Super Showdown, which is coming up this Saturday morning. But in reality, WWE's been letting me down a little bit as far as all the wrestling storylines and just what we expect from them with all that talent. But, first and foremost, talking about Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, great card. Again, Jay Lethal was amazing. The Bullet Club was awesome. And then also finding out that Punishment Martinez kind of wrapped up his stint with Ring of Honor. And now rumors abound that he's heading to WWE. He actually dropped the television championship against Jeff Cobb at the tapings. So all signs point to him going to WWE, and congratulations to him. But that's also, not only that headline too, but like you said, the contracts are up for the Young Bucks and Cody, and they're going to make a decision. They're going to make a decision together. It's going to be a community effort. It's going to be something that they will all get together and they will control their futures together, and that's something that in the wrestling business you don't get a chance to do. And whether or not they stay with Ring of Honor, whether they work a lighter schedule with New Japan, my feelings today, I might change my mind maybe in a few weeks, but going back to All In Starrcast and talking to Justin Barrasso and Simon Miller, the idea is that we all believe they're going to stay. And, I think what really kind of solidified to me as far as Cody's part is that not only is he the NWA champion, but he was able to beat Juice Robinson for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. So that to me also signals now that Cody's a multi-champion now, not only the NWA World's champion, but he's also holding New Japan's United States Championship. And now he will go on to King of Pro Wrestling, and it's going to be a triple threat match between Kenny Omega, Ibushi, and Cody. First of all, he's a very smart man to interject himself in this matchup. He is right now has the opportunity to become a champion, not only the U.S. champion for the IWGP for New Japan, not only the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, but also the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the biggest prize in the game for New Japan. So, Cody right now is on the verge of maybe surpassing Kenny Omega as having the best 2018 so far.
Well, I think so, too. In terms of match quality, yeah, I think it's still fair to go back and forth to say Kenny's had the better year. But in terms of moments, in terms of monumental moments in one's career, Cody takes it, no question about it. But I don't know, Jeff, if winning the IWGP United States Championship and then winning, winning the NWA title at All In, I don't know if that signifies the fact that he's staying. A lot can happen in 2 months. We'll use Punishment Martinez as an example. We thought everything was good. We'd spoken at Starrcast about the fact that, to be able to headline Madison Square Garden for Ring of Honor, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get the offer and you end up going to WWE, or the rumors are that he would be going to WWE, and congratulations go out to him. Well deserved. He's like Roman Reigns, but the nice version of Roman Reigns.
He's like a mix of Undertaker and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and a great guy. So happy that if that is true, that's going to happen for him. But a lot can happen in the blink of an eye. And so titles really don't mean anything in terms of significance. They could probably make people think, oh, it's going in this direction, and make them not worry about certain scenarios that can happen. But yeah, it's an exciting time. My question to you, Jeff, is that, we know that Cody and the Young Bucks want to try to do this all together, right? But from a personal standpoint, it's tough to put ourselves in their shoes. We can only imagine so much how cool it would be to put ourselves in the Young Bucks or Cody's shoes. But when it comes to financial stability, I think they're doing great right now on the independent circuit. They're probably making more than what Cody made in WWE at that time. Is it that important to go to WWE now for you? If you're, for example, Matt and Nick, is it something you kind of want to check off your bucket list? At least I made it to WWE, and I couldn't be any hotter than now. Or should I just stick with what I know right now? Just that's it.
You could say that they could check off their bucket list, but I'll say 2 things, man. The Hot Topic money, they get a chance to, really get a majority of that income, and also too, their schedule, they can come as they go, and I believe they're going to take a lighter schedule with New Japan. Obviously, they're not going to be obviously now since they lost the heavyweight tag team championship.
What a match that was
against Girls of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Lao. I think that they're going to take some time off from New Japan. I think they won't be there as much, but there won't be in World Tag League. We know that. For the first time in a long time, they will not be there. So now you wonder exactly, whether they sign full-time with New Japan, whether they take maybe lesser dates for New Japan. But at the end of the day, I really believe still that they will stay with Ring of Honor because right now it's just too good for them right now, outside of WWE. But, again, like you said, you can't say 100%. But I'm kind of leaning more to they make the collective decision and they all stay together. And whether it's for one more year,
how disappointed would you be?
I'm not disappointed whatsoever. I think it's.
Let's say Cody takes it and hightails it back to WWE.
He's not gonna go. You know what? Cody mentioned in his press conference that there are more rebels out there now that are willing to do it. Yes, Cody's been the highest profiled guy, But I think that right now the wrestling business, the industry is on such a on good level that somebody else could take the reins. And if the Young Bucks stay back, I think that they've kind of had their evolution, and maybe there's somebody that could take that in the U.S. as far as representing or leave off where Cody left off. But at the end of the day, I think they're all staying where they are too. And then of course, again, the Young Bucks losing to the Girls of Destiny. A little surprised about that. And of course, they are recruiting now. They've kind of specified now that there's one person from the U.S. that they're looking at, a couple from Australia, and a few juniors from Japan. So we'll find out.
Where's our invitation? Honestly, where's the scouting guys? I mean, seriously, the firing squad does not want to look at the Jersey Wrecking Crew.
Yep.
We had a moment, Jeff, at StarCast and Atlantic City.
Believe, right?
We all bonded together. We all look like we're brothers from the same mother. I don't understand what's going on here.
Especially with your beard, too.
Well, thank you.
Talk about Cody, though, going to NWA 70 and taking on Nick Aldis now, but as a multi-champion, the NWA and the IWGP, United States champion. That's got to be awesome, man. That just adds more, prestige to this 70th anniversary for NWA, which happens in Nashville, Tennessee. And, again, so much wrestling, man. Again, as we head to October and November and December, there's not been 1 week where it's just been, like, slow. Maybe that all-in the all-in blues that we were talking about the last couple of weeks, but bam, okay, fine. We had a 4-week lull, but now boom, right back into it. We had, of course, a great weekend of wrestling last week, and then we go into an awesome weekend of WWE wrestling in Melbourne, Australia, WWE Super Show. Of course, this past Monday, you saw the Brothers of Destruction get into it against Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and man, a bald Shawn Michaels. It's kind of crazy to see him like that. I kind of thought for 1 second I was reliving the Attitude Era. But, yeah, man, they're really going, full force and, kind of leading us to believe that Shawn Michaels is going to get into that ring one more time. Maybe one more, 2 times, 3 times, you don't know. But it looks like Shawn Michaels is going to get back in that ring. And we were talking about it last week and a few weeks ago, too. What is his incentive? Bill Apter really threw one in there that I wasn't really thinking about, too, where he's talking about, maybe it's not money, maybe it's not Vince, but maybe there's one other reason that Shawn Michaels is returning to the ring. And Bill Apter, discusses that in my interview with him at Modern Vintage Wrestling too. So Bill Apter really gets in depth and makes us think, man. There's really some times where you see it from one way and then you get somebody else's perspective and you're like, I didn't even see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way things are when you especially talk about the wrestling business where you're so focused on one perspective, then you hear another person speak about it, you're like, oh, wow. Just like the Wizard of Oz. It's color now. I see what you're talking about. This is the way it should be. But you're right. It was a great interview with Bill. And like I said, he shed some light on that. He shed some light, too, on the industry in as a whole. For the mere fact that a lot of people talk, Jeff, about this resurgence. I think it's always been there, but now it's gotten that notoriety. It's gotten the attention. It's gotten that exposure that a lot of people probably didn't have back maybe 5 years ago. So it's definitely an exciting time to not only discuss the business, but to be in it as well.
Yeah, man. So, listen, there's 12 matches for the Supercard show.
12 matches?
12 matches.
You get a collectible chair when you're in Australia?
I just said Supercard shows for the Super Showdown show. 12 matches, and what we usually do is give you a little preview and predictions, but, I kind of decided to change it up where we're going to do the first 6 and then throw it to the Bill Apter because I just think it's too crazy. So I'm just going to run it down for you real quick, and, last time we're going to wipe off a clean slate. Last time I didn't keep count of the wins and losses, but now this time it's definitely for Buffalo Wings, where the winner will partake in very delicious, scrumptious buffalo wings. So, Trendsetter, let's start off with Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship. It's Buddy Murphy's. He's the hometown guy, man. It's going to be on his turf for Cedric Alexander. I'm going to say that we get a brand new Cruiserweight champion in Buddy Murphy.
Oh, so excited for Buddy Murphy getting this opportunity. I think he's got the look. He's got the appeal. Can he put it all together? I like this combination. I think these two will have great chemistry in the ring, though I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But no, I see Jeff Cedric Alexander retaining the championship.
All right, there we go. So it's good when we differ, man. It's really good. The New Day and the Bar. I'm going to say the Bar take the tag team titles away from the New Day.
I don't think so right now. I think the New Day just has so much momentum behind them, especially from a marketing employee where you have Bootios, you have the pancakes, the syrup, and Big E's secret sauce or whatever surprise that's coming up right now. I see New Day retain the titles, which I feel bad because I think the Bar, went to SmackDown Live for kind of a new surroundings to kind of do things a little bit differently, and they kind of been left in the corner and lost in the shuffle. So hopefully I'm wrong on that one, but I think the New Day is going to take this one, Jeff.
We got Naomi and Asuka teaming up. Unlikely duo there against the Iconics. Again, they're in their home turf. It's the Iconics' hometown. I'm going to say that the Iconics come with the victory over Naomi and Asuka. And, man, it just continues to sadden me. Just, the depths that Asuka has fallen in recent months. But I'm going to go with the Iconics take this one.
I mean, you're talking about the depths that Asuka's fallen to. Let's talk about the fact, the momentum that the iconic duo of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce have been gaining a lot more popularity. They're not just, for example, workers that get beaten and pulverized to move on to something else. So, this moment for them, I think, will be huge. This one, I do think the hometown crowd will have an effect on it, and I can see the Iconics winning this one by hook or crook.
John Cena returns.
Who cares?
WWE action
joking.
Against Bobby Lashley. You need to improve Cena. Have you taken a look at the pictures?
I knew he's got a trimmed down.
He's had to have a hair transplant, though, right?
I don't know, maybe.
Have you seen his hair?
Yeah, it's this weird. It's this, but again, with long hair, Jeff, and hey, you could equivalent to this, right? The fact that it reaches that weird phase. Maybe John's just not meant for long hair. I don't know, but it doesn't look real. But my goodness, he has trimmed down tremendously. Yeah. It's going to be amazing how that affects his in-ring style. Maybe who knows? Maybe that'll improve his wrestling, Jeff. But standing next to Bobby Lashley against Kevin Owens and Elias, and let's just real quick, Jeff, call a spade a spade. This whole thing with Kevin Owens and Elias, it's like literally they don't know what to do with either one of these guys. We're gonna put these two together, form them as a tag team, and be on our way.
Yeah,
so,
and the fans are going to go happy because John Cena and Bobby Lashley are going to take this one.
I agree. They're going to take this one dominantly.
The most interesting one to me is Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, because obviously The Miz just cost Daniel Bryan a match against Shelton Benjamin, and it's a very entertaining matchup. Yeah, it's a very entertaining matchup, and I gotta believe that Daniel Bryan is gonna be the new number one contender. But this whole push now for The Miz to be the guy that unseats AJ Styles as the WWE champion. At first, I didn't believe it, but now I think that The Miz is going to get rewarded, and I think that they're going to be headed towards a Miz versus AJ Styles angle, and I think The Miz could be very close to being the one to unseat AJ Styles. If you would have told me maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, that was the direction that I thought they were going to, I wouldn't have thought so, but I'm kind of leaning towards The Miz to defeat Daniel Bryan here at Super Showdown in Melbourne, Australia.
It's kind of funny the fact that you're talking about The Miz dethroning AJ Styles when AJ has to deal with Samoa Joe, and you would think plainly that would be the factor in the direction you're going to go in terms of having somebody, not to say that The Miz isn't legitimate, but somebody who's a dominant force that could actually take AJ Styles to the limit and dominate him and beat him down, especially in the personal rivalry that's become. You'd think it'd be Samoa Joe. I don't know, Jeff. I think in the scenario, like we discussed before, I don't know where we've been hearing these rumors, but we talked about this more of a payoff between Daniel Bryan and The Miz and what's going to happen. I can see Daniel Bryan.
I haven't heard any rumors. It's just been the way that they're kind of building this up. I mean,
I think it's built up for the fact that this will be a payoff for Daniel, and then it's just again more personal because Miz will be somebody who cost Daniel Bryan his opportunity, and it's all going to come to a head at WrestleMania. But by the time he reaches WrestleMania, Miz could be the champion, and then it leads.
But I'd rather have the Miz going into WrestleMania as a champion than Daniel Bryan defeating him there. If this is going to have the huge
it could still happen, but the events of what's going to happen on the Super Show are not going to lead to that not occurring still down in the near future. So I see Daniel Bryan winning this one, getting his little payback and revenge on The Miz, extending that to a rivalry or a championship match against whoever the champion is, AJ Styles or Samoa Joe at the time, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And from there,
we'll talk about next, actually.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a little bit. That's what I meant, Jeff.
Don't get mad at me just because you can't read the notes. AJ Styles,
I can't. It's on a phone.
Pick a damn match. Pick a damn winner.
Oh, pick a damn match.
Pick a damn winner. AJ, Daniel Bryan or The Miz.
Wait, you could be long-winded, but I can't. Wow, talk about a hypocrite, Jeff. I'm picking Daniel Bryan in this one. I think he's going to come out victorious, and the storyline continues from there.
AJ Styles and Samoa Joe for the
don't change the subject
for the WWE Championship. Listen, if you ask me, I think WWE is going to really have this as the opening match. That's how much they devalue that WWE Championship. AJ Styles, a really good rivalry, a good storyline here with Samoa Joe. I really think that AJ Styles will come out victorious. I'm starting to believe that they don't really see Samoa Joe as a champion, but more of a foil. And I think that'll culminate here at Super Showdown. So I think AJ Styles will retain the WWE Championship, setting up a feud with The Miz, because I think that The Miz is going to be Daniel Bryan.
I don't foresee the fact that I don't like this rivalry. I don't like the direction it's gone into with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe.
Have you liked the matches? Is it the storyline?
The matches have been okay. I just haven't liked the storyline leading up to it, because I think the quality of matches, as good as they've been, have not been what we've seen in the past. I know hindsight's 20/20, but I still see AJ retaining the title, moving on, and then it just kind of makes me scratch my head of what they want to do with Samoa Joe. Kind of to your point, maybe it's just a foil and they didn't see him as a champion, because I do see this whole Daniel Bryan Miz rivalry leading into the WWE Championship and AJ retaining it.
It's funny, Trendsetter, I obviously did not print out these rundowns this week. So
time is short.
I forgot on my phone that I could flip it over, and it's long ways. So I'm trying to open it up the tall ways. And
horizontally and
exactly,
vertically. Yeah.
And I'm not, and obviously it helps a lot when you have an iPhone and you can actually flip it.
Yeah,
and
technology, folks.
Because now I can read this now, and I think we're done with the halfway point. So those are our picks so far. We'll have the rest of the preview and predictions after our interview with Bill Apter. But right now, it's time for the Collar and Elbow interview of the week with Bill Apter. Collar and Elbow is an apparel brand founded by Al Snow, mixing wrestling passion with street fashion. Check out the entire fall fashion line. Fall fashion. Can you believe that, Trendsetter?
I don't want to believe it.
Freaking fashion line, including brand new long sleeve shirts and hoodies. Oh man, I can feel the cold. You got to go to collarxelbowbrand.com and save 10% on your entire online purchase just by entering promo code HighSpotPodcast, all in caps.
Jeff, real quick before we get to the interview with Bill.
Sure, why not? We postponed it.
Exactly, we've done it already anyway. When you read that, I'm thinking, man, I've reached the point now where I can't believe what I'm actually now not looking forward to the weather. And maybe I'm one of those people that didn't think I was going to be those people that was dependent on the weather. Maybe I need to move now to a warmer climate, because this whole cold weather thing, I've done it long enough. I don't know if I can take another one.
Guys, listen, we've had our share of nice weather, okay, but it feels like forever. This past September has probably been one of the crappiest Septembers ever. They say September is nice because you have the fall, it's hoodie season. You know what? It's been freaking rainy, dreary, humid, disgusting. And I'm glad September's over, but now we head into October. Trendsetter, October.
You know what? This has been the absolute worst month in the history of this year.
September. So we put it close to September now, but you can check out their fashion fall line at collarxlbrand.com. Definitely recommend go do your shopping there and hit High Spot Podcast for 10% off your online purchase. Do that now. And now,
Jeff, get off the computer.
And now, finally, our guest for the week is Bill Apter from the Apter Chats. Amazing podcast. He's had Hogan on. He's had Sting. That's the latest episode. It's part two of one. And he also has had Taz on the show. So a lot of people have been on his show. Of course, it's co-hosted by Josh Chernoff, who actually we want to talk to down the road too. He's the co-host for that show. But of course, he's an author. He's written an amazing book, Is Wrestling Fixed?
I didn't know it was broken.
There you go. And of course, you can follow him at Twitter at Apter1Wrestling. Finally, on the High Spot Podcast, here is Bill Apter.
I want to be on the High Spot Podcast.
Wait, Bill,
how do I get there?
Practice, Bill.
So I practice. Does this get me on the air now?
You're going to be on the air right now. So
Right.
let me give you the proper introduction that you deserve, Bill.
Well, I appreciate that.
Guys, this is my privilege to be talking to Bill Apter. If I were to list all the tons of stuff that he has done, this show would be over here, and we want to get back to the show. But he is the host of the Apter Chat,
Correct.
and it's on iTunes and anywhere that podcasts are available.
The ApterChat.com, anywhere.
So there's so many things that I want to talk to you about, but
Wait a minute. Wait, are you an Apter Chatter?
Yeah, I'm an Apter Chatter.
Just want to make sure.
So, we caught you at StarCast Weekend for All In.
We did. It was great to see you there.
How awesome was that? Now, with everything you've done, you are an awesome karaoke singer.
And a rapper.
Yes. So
yeah.
we were talking.
People don't know that.
We were talking beforehand. So is Barry Manilow your go-to when you're doing karaoke?
It's Barry Manilow. It's Tom Jones. It's All for One. It's John Michael Montgomery. It's Toby Keith. You name the genre of music, I'm there.
Talk about the atmosphere, the experience that All In, because we still have some hangover. We still can't get over the fact that we're in Chicago.
I saw you guys hungover, yes.
And
it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It really was. The feeling about that show, All In, and I'm not even talking about StarCast, the convention yet, was similar to like one of the great buzz that a fight like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier had at Madison Square Garden way back. There was just such a great buzz in the air. The excitement was incredible. There were celebrities there. Not Josh Groban was there. There were so many outside of wrestling celebrities. It was the place to be. And I was glad to be all in. And to see that the NWA National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Championship is being elevated because of that platform, it's totally thrilling to me.
Now, Nick Aldis will get his rematch against Cody, and they're doing this 70-year event there Tony, in Nashville, I believe, in Tennessee. And Tony Schiavone is actually going to call the main event.
What's he going to call it? I got him there.
There you go.
That's a high spot.
He's trying to get me, folks, on my own show. But just your thoughts on just the whole NWA and the resurgence of it this year.
Well, when I was growing up, there were two companies that I knew of as a kid. It was the WWF and the NWA. And they were always like, who's the greater champion? Is it Jack Briscoe or is it Bruno Sammartino? So many years ago, the National Wrestling Alliance kind of fell into an abyss. They really did. But the William Corrigan from the Smashing Pumpkins has bought the brand, bringing it back, and hopefully with Cody Rhodes as the champion, and this is no disrespect to Nick Aldis, he will elevate it back up again, and I'm hoping that the National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight title will be defended at the Ring of Honor New Japan show at Madison Square Garden in April.
Now, the whole buzz at StarCast and All In was about, it was like a feeling. It was kind of like a Woodstock for wrestling fans, right?
Yeah, well, it was just great. Yeah, and there are a lot of people out there, millennials, who don't know what Woodstock was, or a happening or anything, but it was just a feeling of elation, and everybody was on the same page. All the spark plugs at Dusty Rhodes would say, all the spark plugs, baby, if you will, were firing simultaneously until it exploded into that great event, if you will.
Now, why I went back to that is because Cody, on the recent 10 Pounds of Gold, said that he's going to be a free agent January 1st of 2019. Yeah. So there is a big question, even though they kind of, after the show, they kind of said they were going to stick together. But there's kind of a free agency. 2019 is going to be interesting for Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny. You kind of think he's the one who's going to stay in New Japan?
I think he's going to stay in this whole independent, upper echelon independent level, as will the Young Bucks. People say, well, if they get a great financial deal, are they going back to WWE? That wrestler then has to think, is it the finance and being with a wrestling company, sports entertainment 24/7, or just one-shot deals here and there and making that money and keeping to our world? So it's going to be interesting.
Now, you got to admit that there's been a huge boom in wrestling. It's kind of been like a resurgence for wrestling in general, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We have our own podcast, you with the Apter Chat.
Yes, right? Along with Josh Chernoff.
Yeah, with Josh Chernoff, who we just met too. We're going to get him on here later on too. But, talk about just the resurgence of wrestling, how like social media.
Yeah, but it's always been, people talk about the resurgence. It's been out there. There's just more people paying attention to it on social media. You can see WWE any night of the week, anywhere in the world. You can see a lot of the independents now on streaming media. It's changed the whole ball game, where an independent company used to have to try and get a TV spot. You don't need to do that anymore. You get a streaming station, market it right, and you're going to have fans, and they're going to draw people like here where we are at Modern Vintage Wrestling, Gimmick Tree Entertainment. Yes, it's a whole new world, which is not one of my karaoke songs.
No, those Disney songs, he doesn't do Disney's, though. You have to get a couple of drinks and be able to do Disney for you. No?
I don't drink, no. This is I'm a sparkling ice and Izzy guy.
So you're a straight edge podcaster and
I don't
writer.
drink alcohol.
No?
Never did.
Good.
Once at my bar mitzvah. But that was it.
You, in your recent episode, kind of broke down Hell in a Cell, and you were a big fan of it. But what about Hell in a Cell? Because I know a lot of people critiqued the ending. You obviously were kind of not a fan of the red colored cell.
No, but that was it. Other than that, I think a lot of fans are just too critical. I still sit back and enjoy it. I didn't like the red, but the action that went on top of the ring, the spot where Ziggler and Seth Rollins fell down. People are saying, oh, it looked pre-planned. If you're looking for that to look pre-planned, it will.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm sitting there as a fan, and I'm enjoying it. So, no, I liked it. I like most of what I see on every company. I really do. I've never been a guy who's a critic. I'm a wrestling fan, and I still love to watch it.
Can you believe we're in September? We're almost towards the end of the year now, because October's going to come in and everyone's going to be talking about Thanksgiving and the holidays.
October 22nd, my birthday,
and of course Bill Apter's birthday.
Yeah.
Trendsetter, we got to get him a gift. We got to start now because Bill's
dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. Okay. So as we close in the year, what are you going to remember 2019? What are you going to remember 2018 for?
Well, probably that weekend at StarCast and All In, because I haven't been to an original event like that in years that's generated such a buzz. Yeah.
And do you think, for example, now that
and let me the WWE expanding even more globally to Australia, going back to Saudi Arabia, it's great. Yeah.
And he gives me great questions to ask him. Shawn Michaels, talk about Saudi Arabia. Now they're talking about Shawn Michaels. You know what? Sometimes something that can get you out of retirement is the cash. And obviously, WWE is making a lot of money right now. And, we were talking on our show whether Shawn Michaels is doing this maybe for Vince or maybe because he's got the itch.
I'm going to tell you why he's doing it. It's not Vince and it's not the itch. Maybe 10 or 12 years ago when I did an hour sit-down with him, he said he wanted his child at that time, his son, was asking him to go back and do this. I think it's more family or kid. I'm trying to look for the right word, like kid-related, where my dad's going to go and do this. That's what I think it is.
You know what? We didn't even think about that. You're right. He's got
that's
a family.
That's why I'm here to put the thoughts in your mind.
There you go.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that when they think of Shawn Michaels, it's Mr. WrestleMania. What do you think?
The Heartbreak Kid.
The Heartbreak Kid. What do you think? Should the fans lower expectations knowing that Shawn Michaels is getting in there at 53?
No,
no.
I mean, just go in and enjoy seeing him doing it one more time. Don't be critical. Yeah.
And final one, Bill, because you've been so gracious with your time, is Ring of Honor is going to sell out Madison Square Garden.
Well, they did.
With New Japan,
yes.
Right? So we're excited for that. We will be there.
I will too.
What do you think this signifies? Because what's next for Ring of Honor and New Japan? Because you can't just go off of selling out Madison Square Garden. I was talking to Brian here and saying that a weekly show for Ring of Honor, or they should have something like that where it's maybe distributed more. They're under Sinclair.
They're on syndicated networks right now.
Yeah.
It would be great if they had a network deal, but again, we see little by little the streaming universe is changing. And if you really think about it, Ring of Honor and New Japan didn't use any major TV promotion to sell out Madison Square Garden, nor did the people that put on All In. So the world is changing. So my answer is I think they're going to go to other major cities and get into other major arenas and do this on a maybe quarterly basis. That's the way to do it.
Bill, I want to thank you so much.
Don't overexpose. That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the High Spot
My
Podcast.
pleasure.
Really appreciate it. I mean, this has been one of our gets that we've always wanted to
thank
here,
you.
and to catch you here for this wrestling promotion here, and a great cause.
Charlie Armstrong has always booked me. He's a great promoter. Jackie Destiny Peterson has beaten breast cancer, thyroid cancer, and tonight's a benefit. And the only thing I can say is please help her, and we'll see you at the matches.
Trendsetter, one thing, talking to Bill Apter is when we were at StarCast and when we had the karaoke with Bruce Pritchard,
Jeff Jarrett and Pat Patterson.
I didn't realize that Bill Apter was an amazing karaoke singer. I mean,
I didn't know he carried a flash drive with him.
He livened that crowd up, man.
Good.
And
it was 1 a.m, and Bill was still up and ready to go and
was he
active.
in his 70s?
I don't know. I've never looked it up. I don't want to look it up because I don't want to know, Jeff.
Right? No, but I mean, it was crazy that, there's people. I remember the first day we got there and we were walking out of I think it was the Botchamania.
The Botchamania one,
and there's
yeah.
a guy sitting there. He's already fallen asleep on his chair. It was day one. And Bill Apter was there the next day doing karaoke at 1 a.m. for that one with Jeff Jarrett and Bruce Pritchard. And he was singing Can't Smile Without You, pulling out the Barry Manilow. And I was like, damn, man, that's why this guy is awesome. And, man, he was everywhere at StarCast. He's been pulled in so many directions, but it's nice that he remembered us from Podcast Row, and finally glad that we had a chance to talk to him at Modern Vintage Wrestling. Again, Trendsetter, again, Shawn Michaels, I never thought about it, but maybe he wants to do this so his kids can watch him wrestle, and they have, a memory of him wrestling.
Well, when he mentioned that to you, it brought me back to the fact that they had interviewed Shawn before he made his first comeback against Triple H. And, when the build-up happened in years prior to even this happening, his thing was that he would come back to wrestle for one reason only, to have his son be able to see him. This could be another reason, to have his family, have his daughter and his son see him in this stage in his life, in this stage in his career. One more time or 2 more times, or maybe it's just something personal within him. Regardless, Jeff, we can't question why somebody wants to come back and why they want to do what they do. Us as fans, I feel sometimes we feel a little spoiled. We feel a little, for example, we want Stone Cold to come back. We want you to come back. Oh, you can still do it, but maybe it's not the best. I just hope that whatever decision Shawn makes, which it looks like he's going to lean towards getting back into the ring, that he's just happy and content. And I'll be happy to see a very elated, very excited Shawn Michaels to go back in there. It's not going to be, guys, the same Shawn Michaels we've seen before. But again, 50%, 40%.
Literally, is from head to toe. Talking about his hair, that's the one thing I can't get over. Is okay,
He's going to wrestle in a hat then, basically.
Once he chopped it off and he cut it short, I was like, okay, what happens? When you're in your 50s, sometimes the long hair, especially with the whole Bret Hart pulling that piece of
ripping that hair out during the fight in the locker room.
But now, man, just bald, it's just weird.
Well, we kind of thought the same thing with Triple H,
crazy.
remember, Jeff?
Yeah.
How long did it take to get used to Triple H for short hair? Now he's completely shaved it off because he can't get it short enough. Shawn's done the same thing, except with Triple H, it was a drastic build towards it. I suppose the last time we saw Shawn, he had short hair. We never saw him that often. He always had a hat on, and now completely bald. But at the same time, whatever. Ultimately, in the ring, and what he does in the ring is a lot better than what he's wearing on top of his head. So I'll be excited to see that. It'll be fun. I hope it lives up to the billing, but great time. And the thing you can't question about Bill, Jeff, is his undeniable passion, not just as dissecting or analyzing wrestling, because he doesn't say he analyzes it or critiques it. He is just what we are, Jeff. He's just a wrestling fan.
Yeah, no, awesome. And again, thanks goes out to Bill Apter. Again, his podcast is the Apter Chats, and
no thanks comes to us, Bill. You said you wanted to be on the High Spot podcast. We were more than happy to make your dreams come true. I mean, he said it too. He's like, how do I get on it? You were on it, Bill. Check that off your bucket list. You are welcome.
And now we're going to head back to the WWE Super Showdown preview and predictions. Let's go to Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Becky Lynch has been amazing. I love this new persona. I think WWE didn't even try to do this on purpose. I think it was something that backfired, but backfired in a positive way in my eyes. And Becky Lynch has just been this heel. She's been getting the best of Charlotte recently, the last couple of weeks. Of course, that attack on with the photo shoot. awesome. And I think the fans, again, when you're cool and you're rebellious, fans are going to love you. And they love Becky. They side with her in the whole story, the whole Charlotte being, that person's kind of, holding Becky back. And, whether WWE wants to admit that's backfired on them, Becky Lynch has been on fire and has been that last kicker that we have all been wanting to see since she got drafted to SmackDown. She had that early success in the beginning, but then kind of was like lost in the shuffle no more, man. And I think that, this Saturday in Melbourne, Australia, she's going to come out victorious and retain that SmackDown Women's Championship.
I agree. I think the whole build-up to Becky reaching this point right now, and you're right, she has so much momentum behind her, that you would be a fool. And I say this very convincingly, WWE, you'd be a fool to take the title off of her. I really don't believe in titles flip-flopping like that. I don't think it adds anything to the rivalry. So I see Becky retaining this right now. The storyline clearly continues, but I think Becky right now is getting the best of Charlotte.
Ronda Rousey will team up with the Bellas. Of course, the Bellas have been in the news this past week, of course, with Brie Bella kind of knocking out Liv Morgan and after the kicks to the face. And luckily, Liv Morgan is okay. We saw her this past Monday night on Raw. She looked fine. She looked like she had, passed the concussion protocol. She looked fine. She will be available to travel to Melbourne this Saturday, and she will, of course, team up with her team, the Riot Squad. Man, I mean, this is setting up for Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey, so maybe, just maybe, there's some miscommunication between Ronda and the Bellas here, and maybe Riot Squad comes out victorious. And I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going to go the Riot Squad defeats Ronda Rousey and, of course, the Bellas. And, of course, I can guarantee you that Ronda Rousey will not be pinned. Or will she be part of the loss?
Well, Jeff, I like your thinking, but unfortunately your logic doesn't make much sense to me. Just because you're building this up, you have the Bellas and their brand and what they've done for Total Divas and what they're doing for their show on the E! Network, Total Bellas, and then what they've done with Ronda Rousey and how they've packaged her, quote your words, a star attraction out there to see. I can't see the Riot Squad standing really a chance in any of this. I see Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins winning this, and who knows? Maybe things start changing where this whole thing with Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey that people have been talking about that could happen at WWE Evolution, the first ever female pay-per-view for WWE. Maybe that happens, but I don't see it happening any other way than the Bellas and Ronda Rousey successfully defeating the Riot Squad.
And then the Shield, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins will take on, Dolph Ziggler, Braun Strowman, and Drew McIntyre. This one has been building for a long time. Listen, when I'm looking at the list here, it says the Dogs of War. That's Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Ziggler's team name against the Hounds of Justice. Which dogs are going to come out on top? That's going to be the main question here.
Well, to be part of that pound.
The seed has been planted for a future Dean Ambrose heel turn. I don't think it happens in Melbourne. I think that happens down the road, heading more towards WrestleMania season. But of course, Dean Ambrose this past Monday night was talking about how what's everyone getting at here. They're kind of trying to push him to turn on his brothers. It's not happening just yet, but eventually I believe it will happen, but not in Melbourne. I think that the Hounds of Justice, the Shield, come out victorious against the Dogs of War, of course, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and Braun Strowman.
Same logic to what we spoke about in the last match. I think, it's just built up that way. I would have loved it as the Shield versus War Machine guys. That would have been awesome to watch. But no, it's the Dogs of War, whatever you want to call them. I think it's just built up for this. In my opinion, Jeff, it's just a match filler. It really is. But again,
filler.
It's a match filler to me because you know what? This proves nothing. If Strowman, McIntyre, and Ziggler win and you beat the Shield, it doesn't do anything. The Shield wins, which we all think it's going to happen. That's all that happens. To me, this rivalry between these factions, supposedly, Jeff, I'm not invested in. So to me, it's a match filler. The only thing that's interesting is what you've been talking about.
A time filler before they get to the main separation of the Shield. Because, this is still a very marquee match.
A time filler would be, like what you just said, to kind of alleviate time for something like Dean Ambrose turning and it's going to happen. To me, this storyline has proven nothing to me in terms of you brought the Shield back to have another faction, a makeshift one put together, granted a good-looking one with McIntyre, Strowman, and Ziggler. But to me, there is no interconnection. There is no history. There is nothing personal that me, Jeff, as a fan, I'm invested in it. So to me, it's a match filler. You're just filling up a match card, and I'm going to put the Shield against these three guys. So I see the Shield coming out victorious, but I do tell you that what you're mentioning is true. My most intriguing thing as a investment as a fan is want to see where they're going this whole Dean Ambrose rivalry, this whole storyline, because they could be planting the seed there, but they can quickly turn and say nothing happens. But I think it needs to happen for Dean to kind of have a refresh start, to revamp his career since coming back from injury. So that'll be interesting to see where it leads.
Last time ever. We'll find out if that's the case. Triple H with Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker with Kane. Man, it was a little nostalgic. I wouldn't say that I would mark out. I wouldn't say that it was like a moment that I had to go out and tweet, say, thank God I'm a wrestling fan. But we saw it on Monday Night Raw. We saw both Brothers of Destruction take care and wipe out Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And, the fans loved it. The fans went back to the Attitude Era, and all was fine. But, I know Melbourne, they want to sell it out. They want to put out the stars here. But to me, am I interested in this matchup? Am I looking forward to doing this? Am I going to get up at 5 a.m. for this? I don't know. I mean,
the answer to that.
Is this going to lead to Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker? Probably. Whether it's Mania, whether it's Survivor Series, as they're talking about making it sooner than later. It's going to lead to something big. So I'm going to say here that no one wins. I think it's going to be a schmoz, like they say in the business, and I think that eventually it's going to be
careful there. When you start using jargon like that, interlingo, people are going to get resentful.
They're going to call me Amar. They're going to call me, I think I know all the stuff. So I'm not going to say schmoz then. I think it's just going to be a whole running and interference. I think there's going to be no winner here, and I think that this leads again to the tag team matchup between Shawn Michaels and Triple H against The Undertaker and Kane at Crown Jewel. That's where all signs are pointing to, but I don't think anybody comes out here the loser. I think something happens, a run-in or a disqualification or something like that, but I just don't think there's a clear-cut winner here, and I think it's all about leading to that tag team match at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia.
Well, I would agree with you, Jeff. I think it's all about selling, getting people in those seats, and what better way than to add some nostalgia, as we've spoken about how influential that stuff can be on people. And yeah, I don't foresee this going any other way but that. If anything, I could see Undertaker defeating Triple H, because I think if they're going to have someone finally put the final nail, quote unquote, in the coffin of The Undertaker, it might be Shawn Michaels if they go that route in a singles match at WrestleMania, which people are just talking about freely. That could actually happen if Shawn continues his in-ring career for a few more. But I see it happening. No clear-cut winner, which makes you think, Jeff, a show this big that you're building it up on Australia, to end it on something like that.
Yeah, I think this is the main event. I think this is the main event.
But even if it's the main event, to end it with nobody winning, no decisive victory, and ends up in a schmoz, as you call it.
Well,
if you're a fan, you're like, come on, I paid good money to go see this.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I think just the idea of having I don't think they have to have a winner in this match, because, like you said, they're going to go home happy with the other matches. They're going to go see Ronda Rousey win, like you're saying. John Cena and Bobby Lashley are going to go home victorious. So I think that here you can have one where they're going to set up to Crown Jewel. I think the fans seeing both the guys actually interact in the ring, and there's going to be action between both of them. I think that this time, maybe towards the end, that Shawn Michaels and Triple H are going to lay out Undertaker and Kane here. So I think the fans are going to go home happy. It doesn't have to have a winner here, clear-cut winner. So, those are 12 matches, Trendsetter. And before we move on and close out the show here, of course, Super Showdown is tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., guys, on the WWE Network. So if you're waking up, if you have that wrestling fix, definitely you can go to the network and get this and watch this. But what matchup are you looking forward to the most here, Trendsetter? Here, there's 12 matches. Which one sticks out to you the most? That one that you're like, wow, I got to watch it.
That one, probably the whole rivalry between Daniel Bryan and The Miz, just because I want to see how it concludes. Not that I'm thinking it's going to be a 5-star or a show stealer. Anything second to that would probably be AJ and Samoa Joe to me.
Okay, and I'm going to look forward to Charlotte and Becky Lynch, see where that goes. I have a feeling, we both have that feeling that Becky Lynch is going to come out victorious, but Charlotte gets the last laugh tonight. She puts Becky Lynch through her own poster, so she has the last laugh heading into Super Showdown, so it's going to be good to see. I like the way the rivalry is going. When it's personal and when you do it good like this, what Sasha Banks and Bayley should have been. I think people want to see it.
Don't get me started on that one.
Yeah, no, it's what people want to see. Mm-hmm. So that's the one I'm looking forward to watching too the most, Trendsetter. So, man, had an amazing.
Do you have a number 2?
No, just one I want to watch. Amazing weekend of wrestling this past weekend. Of course, King of Pro Wrestling. You're going to get Kenny Omega versus Ibushi versus Cody for that IWGP Heavyweight Championship. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And they're stealing a term from Gorilla Monsoon. It don't get no bigger. Oh no, actually that's just
Jim Ross.
No, isn't it?
It don't get no bigger than this. Is Jim Ross?
Didn't Jesse Ventura one time say it?
Well, yeah. I mean, Gorilla said it more predominantly than Jesse, but yeah, you're talking about WrestleMania 5 where it's Savage and Hogan, and this is the main event.
This Monsoon.
You don't get no bigger than this, yes, but yeah.
But so obviously wrestling abound again. Next week we're going to again dissect this Super Showdown. Talk about leading into the next set of events coming up. We got the Jericho Cruise also coming up too, man. And as I honestly, man, I think I'm looking forward to this because it gets away from this crappy ass weather that we've been having.
And that's an understatement, Jeff. In terms of the weather we've been having, the lack of sleep you and I have been having as well adds into this whole feeling of the all-in blues and feeling run down. But again, it's passionate because we love what we do here. Doing this show was going to be tough for me, but you know what? That adrenaline rush hit, so I'm excited to be a part of it. Excited to always be a part of the High Spot podcast. So yeah, dude, looking forward to it. And we haven't mentioned too. We mentioned it last week, Jeff. We haven't talked about it even during the show. We've talked about it, before the show started. The Jericho Cruise. It's building up, Jeff. Less than 25 days, 24 days, 20 days, whatever. And before you know it, we will be on the boat. Watching what? Wrestling.
Watching Ring of Honor versus Impact, definitely. Only 25 cabins now are left on that as well. But let's wrap it up, Trendsetter. Hangman Page reportedly turns down WWE. If they're going to make a decision, it's going to be collective. They talked about it after All In during their speeches. They said they're going to change the world together. Whether they go or they stay, it's going to be all of them making the decision. Hangman turns down WWE per reports. Trendsetter, your thoughts?
My thoughts, if that's the decision Hangman Page made, I completely agree with it. Just the fact I think if he goes to WWE or accepted a lucrative deal, whatever the case might have been, again, he would have been the victim of what we always talk about when somebody goes to WWE, where we say we hope they don't get lost in the shuffle. It's one thing getting a paycheck. It's one thing being happy and content with just getting that paycheck and not getting that TV time or that notoriety or that exposure on TV from the WWE brand and WWE, workhorse and machine. But basically, some guy like Hangman Page, we thought 2018 was going to be his year. I think 2019 is even to be even a better year for him because he's kind of like the unsung hero, I think, of the Bullet Club. So I think he has a huge opportunity at the end of this year and into 2019 to showcase his skills even more and make himself even a higher commodity than what it really is now. So I agree with it. I think it's smart. I think he wants to, as we say, bet on himself. And if I was a betting man, I would bet on Hangman Page.
So much untapped potential there. Of course, he's had title opportunities this past year, but I think 2019 is going to be an amazing year for Hangman Page, and I think it's a good idea. It's a good thing that he kind of turned it down. WWE will always be there, and I think he has so much more to do. And, talk about one of those guys that are up and coming and guys that's going to be, if I was going to say a top 5 next year, that are going to make news and headlines, I think Hangman Page is going to be one of those guys. He is a future face of a company, man, and whether it's WWE, whether it's Ring of Honor or New Japan, there's money in Hangman Page. Neville finally returns after months and months of being, just of going dark. He finally returns to Dragon Gate in Japan. He returns as Pac, as his former alter ego, and of course he's got that Neville persona, that evil Neville and persona, and he brings it to Dragon Gate. I got this, it's in Dragon Gate, Japan. He said he'd love to wrestle for New Japan. He said that he would consider it, and to me, this guy has to open the door for him to eventually go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, his character is begging to be infused into this whole Bullet Club firing squad angle. I think it would be awesome. I think it would be an injection to this rivalry, and it would just make the feud, and it would just make it, just amazing to watch. I think Neville does that, and I think that with him going to Dragon Gate, it's got me believing that eventually down the road he will sign with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, first of all, I was excited that he was part of Japan. for Dragon Gate. But to me, I was more shocked that it wasn't just immediately for New Japan, because if you're New Japan management or whoever's running things down there in terms of selecting talent, to me, it'd be a no-brainer to bring him in immediately with the momentum he's had. He's been off of TV for a while, kind of portraying the character and bringing a lot of real-life situations into what he wants to do. So, yeah, from a talent standpoint alone, there's no question that, Neville, or in this case Pac, would be a no-brainer in terms of bringing into the vital roster that you want to showcase when people see New Japan Wrestling. He would be an integral part of that.
But whatever the case is, whatever he decides to do, it's good to see him back doing what he.
It's great to see him in a ring. You're right.
Great to see him in a ring, and again, I believe that he is made for this rivalry between Bullet Club and Firing Squad. It's just going to be amazing, and the possibilities, if he were to join, would be outstanding. And of course, our buddy Brad Shepard is kind of reporting on BarnBurner.com and on his podcast on there that the future home for WrestleMania 36 will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Your thoughts, trendsetter, of a WrestleMania in Minnesota in April?
Well, I've never liked snow angels, but I guess I got to start enjoying them and making snowmen, because to go down there, it's going to be freezing.
I don't know what the weather's like in April. I really don't. It could be maybe in the 50s or 60s, but when I want, New York is New York, right? And you'll tolerate the cold, right? I mean, we kind of were lucky last time the WrestleMania was there. It wasn't that cold. But, man, Minneapolis, I mean, listen, I don't want to knock the city. It's from all accounts, I've been told it's a beautiful city, a clean city. But I just don't know if I would make the trek to Minneapolis to see WrestleMania.
We say that, but we both know we're going, Jeff. I mean, let's be fair here. Depending on our schedules, depending on what happens from that point on until after WrestleMania is done here in the New York metropolitan area, there's no doubt we're going there. I think you're more excited to what happens when WrestleMania actually is going to be in Las Vegas, when the Raiders open up their new stadium, or in Los Angeles when the Chargers and the Rams open up their new stadium. That will be an exciting time to see. But Minneapolis, never been. Would want to, but during that time frame, you're not going to see great weather. But the stadium the Minnesota Vikings play in is gorgeous. It's going to be indoors, so you don't have to worry about the outdoor weather when you're at MetLife Stadium. So there's some perks and some ones that'll be annoying, but again, pretty interesting to see that's the direction they're going in. And I knew maybe a couple of years before that was in the workings. They were talking about Minnesota. Never, I guess, panned out, but now it might, because I trust Brad and his predictions, and when Brad breaks out stories like this, so most likely you can always take it to the bank.
He wanted everybody to know that he was the one that predicted it in New York, so obviously I don't ever remember him being inaccurate.
No, me neither. So if he says it's going to happen,
okay,
we start packing our bags and our snow boots.
Okay, so trendsetter.
Yeah.
All right, so while you were talking, and I went on Google, and I want to check the average temperature for Minneapolis, Minnesota in April. 34 degrees. The highest has ever been 50s.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of what I expected.
It's going to be a little chilly. Ibuprofen? A tie line, something
tie
like
line, brick line, whatever. As long as it's not an ISDN line, we might be remotely doing it from there. But who knows? Maybe you said it before, Jeff. When we went to go see a Jets game, Jets and the Miami Dolphins in the freezing weather, you said it was the funnest time you ever had. As Jeff and I were sipping down like 7 hot chocolates in between the two of us.
That was fun.
That was fun. But yeah, we had to take our breaks to go into a warmer spot because the wind was blowing and it was cold. So Jeff, we can live through that. I'm sure we can live through the WrestleMania weekend in Minneapolis. But you know what? Let's not look too far ahead, because that's in 2020.
Oh my God, I know, right? Live for the present.
Let's live for the present. It's gonna happen in 2019, which is only a short few months away.
It's a shoot.
I'm shooting with you now, Jeff. So let's look forward to that, because it'll be nice not to travel this year too far for that event, and will allow us to kind of enjoy it here. Because guys, if you don't know, this is kind of a makeup for me in the term that when Jeff and I started, when we went to our first WrestleMania, it was 29. I was completely under the weather. Had a stomach bug the night before. I missed out on the Hall of Fame. I'd go to the emergency room because I was so dehydrated. I needed an IV. And then as my week is conditioned to go there to enjoy that event with Jeff, and I said, you know what, we got to do this again for 30. And then from where it's led on to now. So to me, it's more meaningful, more sentimental. That's a makeup for me, and I can't wait till it actually happens.
All right, guys, we will see you next Friday. We'll have a Super Showdown breakdown, as well as a few surprises and so much more. We are on the Cheap Pops Podcast Network. Brian Fritz's baby, Between the Ropes, is the flagship show, and it drops every Wednesday. Plus, there's just great other podcasts on Blog Talk Radio and the Cheap Pops Podcast Network. Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, The Cosmic Geppetto, and Stick to the Gimmick, Talking NXT. Of course, we love you guys, Stu Mirnick and Justin Simmons with Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, the Austin show in Texas. And, we are on the Cheap Pops Podcast Network, as well as Shining Wizards and B Plus Player Radio Networks. Trendsetter, till next week, like you like to say on your YouTube videos. And, of course, we are on YouTube, High Spot Podcast, and you can like and subscribe. You've got interviews with amazing wrestlers and, of course, adventures with the Trendsetter. But we're ready to say adieu to everyone here for this week's episode.
Yeah, guys, don't forget to also check Adventures with the Trendsetter on YouTube. I have the guest Athena Palomino and also Nina L, so enjoy that as well. So as Jeff said, too, we'll catch you guys next week. For the Jersey Rent Crew, my tag team partner, Jeff Martin, I'm the Trendsetter, Brian Berger. Thank you guys so much for listening to the High Spot Podcast. And remember, as exhausted, as tired as we are, and as much as we're dealing still with the All-In Blues, we do this for one reason, and one reason only. And do you know what that is? I'm waiting for a response. Do you know what it is? Well, if you can't respond, we'll respond for you. It's for you, the crew.